Is where MAGA comes to talk. We got a big show today. You will not want to miss a second of it. A lot of things have happened. Oh man, a lot's happened. And I'm going to cover all of it. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. We'll be taking calls. I'll start the main stream in just a minute. And then I'm going to get into it. All right. Now, if you're, hold on a second here. Now, I'm gonna put the link to my main stream in the description of the video right now. And if you want to see and hear all the audio and video that I play and things I show, you're going to want to hop over to my main stream here on YouTube. And that is where you'll see and hear all of that. On this stream, obviously, you'll see and hear me. And you'll hear the callers. But if you want to see and hear the audio and video and everything that I show, you're going to have to go to the main stream. The link is in the description right now. Just click the link. And it will take you directly there. Right now. Okay. And the call-in number is, I'm putting in the chat. Okay. All right, I'm going to start the main stream up now. So, like I said, if you want to see and hear everything I'm going to go over, you want to jump over there. The link's in the description. And I've got a lot to cover today, so you won't want to miss this stuff. All right, here we go. Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and we've got a lot to cover. Welcome to the program. There was a big incident with President Trump on Marine One, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. I got a lot of stories to cover, but that's the main lead, and we're going to talk about that and take your calls live. But if you're watching on my main YouTube channel, I found this cartoon that Turning Point USA posted to their official Turning Point USA X, and it's an amazing picture. You got to go over there to watch it. I can't even describe it because if I describe the image, it just won't do it justice. But it is beautiful cartoon art of Charlie Kirk, and it's very creative. It's on my X, and you can see it on YouTube. Okay, so the president went to the United Nations, and what they did to President Trump at the United Nations was as close to an act of war as I've ever seen. You know, the whole idea of the United Nations came out of this Democrat Klansman president Woodrow Wilson's idea. You know, Woodrow Wilson, Democrat president, was in the Ku Klux Klan, by the way. I'm not kidding. He's not the only one. He's not the only Democrat of the 20th century that was in the Ku Klux Klan. President Truman was in the Ku Klux Klan. And Franklin Roosevelt, while he wasn't in the Ku Klux Klan so far as we know, he certainly was in league with them because he refused to sign federal anti-lynching legislation in the 1930s that Republicans in the Senate were trying to get passed. Can you imagine FDR? So yeah, I know, some pretty bad stuff. But Woodrow Wilson had this idea after World War I of this thing called the League of Nations, which failed, right? And it was like the early version of the UN, and it didn't last very long. And then after the Second World War, they came up with the United Nations. And the idea behind the United Nations was there was never going to be another war. There would never be another war. And when there was a conflict around the world, the leaders of those countries would come to the United Nations and the world would hash everything out. Well, I think we've had more wars because of the United Nations and since the establishment of the United Nations. We may not have had like an official world war, like World War I and II, but I mean, there's a war right now in Europe with Russia and Ukraine, and there's always little skirmishes going on all over the place. It's endless war, right? It's just endless war. So, you know, the United Nations, they're located on some of the most valuable real estate on the planet. They take up a big section of Manhattan, and most of the countries don't pay their dues. And the United States, basically, like we were doing with NATO all those years before Trump changed it, have been funding the United Nations. And a lot of people say, well, how can the United States be so stupid? It's because our leaders before Trump were so corrupt. You think USAID was their only slush fund? It's a big one, but the United Nations is another way all these crooks in the government rip off the federal treasury. Yeah? That's why all these people in Congress are all rich and everything, right? I mean, so it's that's what the United Nations is all about. And the United Nations, they have Trump derangement syndrome, and they did several things to President Trump, right? And I talked about them earlier this week, and then this will lead up to this incident on Marine One with the president, which we're going to get to in just a moment. If you're watching on the live stream with the green behind me, if you want to see and hear the audio and video and things I'm showing on the screen, go to my main YouTube channel. There's a link in the description of that video that'll take you directly to my main YouTube live stream, and you can see and hear all the stuff I'm going through, including this incredible image of Charlie Kirk that is, it just blows my mind. This is really cool. It looks like a Norman Rockwell, doesn't it? So anyway, the first thing they did was the escalator breakdown. Now, breakdown. It didn't break down. Someone stopped the escalator. As soon as the president and first lady were on it, they stopped it. And the president posted about this on True Social. You could have killed him with that. First of all, the president has to be in constant movement. So he was standing there and not moving. That put him in danger. But on top of that, you know, these escalator steps are made of steel. They're very sharp. The president's wearing a Kevlar vest, and oftentimes the suit that the president wears is Kevlar lined. So he's got a heavy Kevlar vest on, without a doubt, and his suit might be lined with Kevlar too. He's wearing body armor, which adds a lot of weight. So if, you know, and you get a jerking movement from the stoppage of a moving escalator, and the first lady is in high heels, and those, I don't know how to describe, you know how escalator steps are, where they're like, they have like those little slots, and there's like a space in between. I don't know how someone like Melania and high heels is even standing up on such a thing. It's got to be hard just to stand up on it. Then it jerks. So the first lady, if she would have fallen back on the president. He would have fallen on with his own weight, the weight of the Kevlar vest, and if he's wearing the Kevlar lined armored suit, the weight of that, plus the first lady, hitting, even without all that, you hit your back head on the sharp edge of that escalator step, you're dead. To me, that's like an assassination attempt there on the escalator. And I don't think I'm alone in that. It's incredibly dangerous. Then some other things happened when he was giving his speech. One, the teleprompter went out. And they were trying to do him in on that, but he free associates all the time, so he got through that. We found out later that the volume inside the auditorium of the UN was turned down lower than all the leaders before and after when he was speaking, so people had a hard time hearing him. And then at one point, the feed went from President Trump's voice to that of the Russian translator. So on some places that were watching the president's UN speech, people were watching him all of a sudden speak Russian. And, you know, the left came up. One idiot even called me, oh, that was Trump's own videographer who shut down the escalator. No, it wasn't. Oh, it was Trump's people that messed up the No, it wasn't. There was a lot of sabotage that went on. So yesterday morning, I did not go through this on yesterday's morning show because I knew there'd be some updates on it, and we didn't have enough information. When the president flew back to D.C. on Marine One, there was camera footage, video footage. You couldn't hear, but you could see the president and the first lady through the windows of Marine One, and they were having a very serious conversation. You could tell they were upset. And of course, the headline, oh, they got into a fight. I knew they weren't in a fight because the president is smart enough to know, he's a brilliant guy, that he can be seen. So if they get into an argument, they'll do it in private. There was something important going on. Well, the lip readers have come out. This is kind of a new thing we've had in the last few years with the lip readers. And it started with Miranda Devine with the lip readers. And Miranda Devine is spectacular. She wrote, of course, Laptop from Hell, which is an incredible book. You should get the book. I would recommend getting that book on tape. It gives you the whole background, not just of the laptop, but of Biden's entire political life. And even though he's out of the loop now in retirement, you'll find it fascinating and frightening that that's who was running the country. But anyway, the lip readers came out, and Miranda Devine posted this. The first is President Trump. The lip readers, President Trump says to Melania, "I can't forgive them. They tried to hurt you," Trump said to the First Lady. Then the First Lady, Melania, responded to Trump and said this: "We can't do this. We should stay safe. You're not safe." So, holy smokes, what's going on here? So the First Lady said, "We should stay safe. You're not safe," she said to the president. Something has happened that we don't know about. Or something is going on that we don't know about. There has been either an attempts, or they have intelligence on an ongoing threat that we don't know anything about. He's not a candidate anymore for president. He is the sitting president of the United States. And the First Lady is afraid and is saying they're not safe now. That they're not safe now. How could he not be safe now? What is going on here? Now, there's a lot of things, and there's a couple of articles on this that I'm going to go through. I would like to hear your thoughts on this. If you're watching live, the number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And there's no way that this is just some prank, okay? And, there was this prank and you're not safe. No, there's either been an attempt, multiple attempts, that we don't know about, or there's an ongoing threat that we've not been told about. And, I wonder, this just popped in my mind. I'm not suggesting that this is what this is about, really, but it just popped in my mind, is Pete Hegseth has summoned every general and admiral from around the world, from brigadier general, which is rear admiral, lower half, and above to the War Department for some special event. I wonder if there's any connection here. Is there something going on? I don't know. I don't know if that's related to this or not. I don't know. That just popped in my mind as I'm thinking about this. But I'm thinking, think about this now. Try to process this. The President and First Lady of the United States, they live in a fortress at the White House. Mar-a-Lago's a fortress in itself. They have an army, literally, of protection, but both of them are fearful for each other's safety. Notice, not their own safety, the other's safety. Something's going on here. And you liberals out there in this audience, and all your liberal friends out there that have been doing all this bizarreness and inappropriateness since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, you need to get yourself in check and think about what you're doing and what you're saying and what you're putting on social media. And all these Democrats out there, that was so terrible that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, but all those people, they need to clean up their act. Stop with this fascist business. Stop with this Hitler nonsense. And grow up and start talking like real people, because what the left are doing is not only literally getting people shot and killed, but the First Lady of the United States and the President of the United States, something is going on here. So this is in the New York Post. Patrick Riley in the New York Post. Here's the headline. Trump and Melania's finger-waving spat was actually Prez raving about UN Escalator snafu, according to lip readers. Now, see, remember, yesterday morning, I saw this story before I went on the air yesterday, and they were saying they were arguing. I knew they weren't arguing in public like that. There's no way. There's no way. If you're on hold, stand by. What appeared to be a finger-wagging row between President Trump and his wife Melania, caught on cameras outside the White House, was actually an animated discussion about the escalator breaking down when they arrived at UN headquarters, according to lip readers. The widely shared clip shows the president pointing his finger at the First Lady, who responds by shaking her head during the exchange, filmed through the windows of Marine One as it landed on the south lawn of the White House on Wednesday. While many online have speculated it reveals a dispute between the pair, similar to Macron and his wife. Remember that happened when she slapped him a while back? Experts believe the conversations was about the viral escalator incident at UN headquarters in Manhattan the day before. And I'm telling you, it's more than just that, because this is the next day and it's still on their mind. Maybe they got some information about what happened at the UN that has not been made public yet. From my interpretation, I don't think Donald Trump was having a go at Melania Trump, but at the shenanigans at the UN, says forensic lip reader Jeremy Freeman, who has testified as an expert witness in cases in the UK. The lip reader believes that Melania said Trump just continued when the escalator suddenly shut down while they were on it. It was unbelievable. How can you do that? Freeman believes, the commander-in-chief replied. Remember, she kept walking. Donald, look at me. She then tells him before they get off the escalator and walk across the lawn hand in hand. Trump called for arrest to be made after the escalator at the UN headquarters abruptly stopped working. I agree with that. As soon as he and the First Lady stepped on it Tuesday ahead of the address to the General Assembly. The First Lady, standing in front of Trump, stumbled when the escalator gave out. It's amazing that Melania and I didn't fall forward into the sharp edges of these steel steps. Face first, Trump later posted. That was on True Social. It was only that we were each holding the handrail tightly, or it would have been a disaster. And I'll tell you, when I walk upstairs now, I always hold the railing. That's because of Trump. He's done that always. And I never used to hold handrails, ever, until I've been doing it for years now, because I've seen Trump do it. That's what they're there for, right? Trump declared the moment was absolutely sabotage, citing the Times of London report that UN staffers had been overheard joking that they might switch off the escalator and make Trump walk to the hall to give his speech. And that was the Sunday before he was there that the Times of London reported that. A second British lip reader believes Trump was being protective of Melania in the moment caught on the helicopter. I can't forgive them. They tried to hurt you. This is according to the lip reader. I can't forgive them. They tried to hurt you, Trump said to his wife at one point on Marine One. We can't do this. We should stay safe. You're not safe, Melania replied. The president then responded, according to the lip reader, they're done. We must challenge them. They're done. We must challenge them. Wow. You know, this is scary, people. It not only is it scary, that doesn't even begin to describe, because this is the next day that this conversation happened. If it was just an escalator stalling, you would think that they would have gotten over it and had the discussion, but something has happened between that and the next day that is leading them to say all this. All right, now if you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. It's pinned in the live chat if you're watching live on YouTube. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Doc from Texas.
Hey, Texas. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning. First of all, good morning.
Mm-hmm. Good
morning. Hey, I don't want to really talk about Trump. I just want to ask you a question. You can answer or you don't answer it. How's your wife doing? I haven't been hearing from her on the radio lately.
My wife's doing fine. Thank you very much. She's listening now, I'm sure, somewhere.
I just want to ask you that, and that's all I want to ask you.
Well, I appreciate that. That's nice. I'm not used to nice people calling, asking nice things. So it's okay. Refreshing.
Well, you have a good day.
All right, you take care. Yes. I appreciate that. If you're on hold, hang in there. The left have been trying to get this narrative going, which is going. It's feeding on themselves, and all of them are promoting this. That the violence is on both sides. It needs to be toned down. No, the violence is all on one side. It is not two-sided. And you know what? Not only is it not two-sided, they keep adding to the violent incidents constantly, like at the UN, like in Dallas, right? And they try to take the assassination of Charlie Kirk and downplay the significance of it and try to make Jimmy Kimmel missing 3 nights of his show into a greater American tragedy than Charlie Kirk being assassinated in front of the world live. And he got back on the air, and I've watched 2 of his monologues, the first 2 nights. I never watched his monologues before. I've seen clips. Of course, I know who Jimmy Kimmel is, and I've seen him on TV from time to time over the years. I've seen clips on social media and in news articles from time to time over the years, but I never sat and watched his monologues. I don't watch late night shows. I used to when I was younger, but first off, I can't stay up that late. I get up early in the morning, right? But I'm not really interested in celebrity guests. When I was young, I cared about celebrities are for children. In my view, I'm not really interested. But I watched his monologues the first 2 nights. Weak. Not very impressive. But he did score some good ratings the first night. And the second night he did okay too. And the reason he did is because people like me that have never watched him tuned in. Now, I watched it online, but I guess the way things work, you get counted towards the ratings. And but the third night back ratings have come out. Have you seen this? Jimmy Kimmel's third night ratings? Listen to this. This is in the Gateway Pundit. Also, all the things I talk about, even the things I don't get to, every article I read or things I see on social media, I post it all to my X, Brian Craig Show on X. So if you follow me there, you can get all my show prep, even the stuff I never get to. But so the first night, his ratings did very, very well, right? People check it in, see what he's going to do. Some people, I forgot. The second night, they tune in, see how he's going to do. And look what happened on the third night. His ratings dropped 70% on night 3. 7-0. That's a big drop, isn't it? Night 3, down 70%. Gateway Pundit and Outkick reporting. Well, that was fast. I'm reading from the Gateway Pundit, and this is also an Outkick. Just 3 days after Democrats in the media made a huge deal about Jimmy Kimmel's big comeback, his ratings have utterly evaporated since the beginning of this week when he returned to the air. Ratings have dropped by 70%. It looks like as much hype return was little more than hype. A sugar high lasts longer than this, they said in Outkick. ABC reinstated the late night host. After a brief suspension, Sinclair agreed to stop preempting the show. They said Nexstar continues to not carry the show on 32 affiliates. Station owners like Sinclair and Nexstar, it goes on and on and on. But Kimmel's long-term future at ABC remains a question. For those wondering if Kimmel could retain his newfound momentum, his ratings on Wednesday suggest no. And that's not surprising because he's so bad. He's so bad. While Wednesday's average was 2.4 million, which is well ahead of Jimmy Kimmel's normal 1.7 million, it marked nearly a 70% drop from Tuesday's, which was 6.3 million. I mean, think about this. I don't know if you can put a dollar amount on it, but he had to receive $100 million or more in free advertising for his show, and it didn't last. You know, with what I do, you know, I don't have any marketing budget. I'm literally a one-man band. My wife helps me out. That's it, right? You know, I don't have any staff. I have no marketing budget or anything. And the way that my promotion works is you find me scrolling through YouTube or on one of the platforms or word of mouth advertising. But and this has always been the case with me, when people find me, now the liberals that are watching me and watch me every day, they'll deny this, okay, in the comments and the live chats, but it's true. When people find me, they stay with me, which is really amazing, and I appreciate that, guys. But Jimmy Kimmel, people like me found him for the first time watching his show, and none of us went back. We went for a little looky-see. And I'd like to see the breakdown, because I'd like to know how long people were watching. You know, that's what I'd really like to know. You know, in the mornings, I do a 4-hour show. Some watch the whole 4 hours. 2 hours and 45 minutes. Is the average. You know, people got to go to work, right? You know, I mean, that's amazing. But I'd like to know how long people were watching him in one thing. And I bet you they checked in for the monologue and booked, right? That's probably exactly what they did. And he's in big trouble. And this goes back to what I was talking about a couple days ago with this, is that he's getting beat by Gutfeld on Fox, which is, you know, that's amazing. I mean, listen to this. On Wednesday night, Gutfeld's ratings on Fox News, 3.2 million. Jimmy Kimmel, 2.4. Gutfeld also beat Stephen Colbert, who was in third place, at, I'll round him up to 2 million. He's at 1,988,000. And Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show, 1.2 million. So Gutfeld is number one by far. And that's on Fox News, which everyone does not have Fox News. Everyone has ABC, CBS, and NBC. Even in those markets that are blacked out, you could still, I would bet you, you know, this whole thing that he's been banned in these different markets, I don't buy that. I think you could still get him on the ABC app and on Hulu, right? You know, there's a handful of network shows that I watch. I don't watch too much scripted television anymore. But if the little that I watch, I don't watch it on the local television station. I watch it either on Hulu or the app for that network. And I bet you that in those markets that he's blocked out on, that you can still catch it on the ABC app or Hulu, if not both. If you're on hold, stand by. My name's Brian. We're going to take our first break. Come back with your calls and much, much more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this break. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. Thanks for tuning in. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to go to the phones. We've covered a lot already. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. If you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, you know, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. If you want to catch the show live when I take calls, go to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. You can catch the show live when I'm taking the calls. And make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are tuned into. This is where MAGA comes to talk. All right, back to the phones. 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Josh from Nevada. I just have I have a question, man, and it's an honest question. I'm not one of the troll goofy callers. I really like to ask you about Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
I want to ask you. Look, man, I give you something to think about. Before Charlie Kirk's death, you know, he's always supported Israel, but before he died, he started questioning Israel and Mossad's involvement in Epstein files. I want to ask you, what do you think about that? And then he said something on PBD podcast about Gaza being ethnically cleansed. This is before he got killed. His views started to change about Israel. What do you think about that? And do you think Erica Kirk is going to
first off, what you said about his views changing, no. There's a lot of anti-Semitism that's being promoted by some of the big conservative influencers, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. And it spread to people like you. Charlie Kirk was friends.
What?
Yeah. Because you're
saying.
You're uttering. Hold on. I'm answering your question.
Off topic.
I'm going off topic.
You're going off topic.
Excuse me. It's the Brian Craig Show. I decide the topics, not some guy in Nevada.
His own mouth.
Excuse me. I decide what the topics are. You're the one. You're the one that's going off topic.
I'll call you and fuck with you, fucking idiot. Go fucking stupid.
Oh, okay. Wow. Gee whiz. Something I said? Oh, man. He's a wordsmith, that guy. If you're on hold, stand by. Okay. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are promoting this story that it's amazing to me how they're telling us that Charlie Kirk changed his opinions on all these things. If he had changed his opinions, why didn't he go out and say that? You know, the only thing that he said that I thought was, I'll talk about both. I'll mention both. And so far as getting off topic, you're the one that got off topic. I've been talking about a lot of things. He had talked about with Patrick Bet-David about how he had been to Israel and he was questioning the military response when Israel was attacked and why it took them so long to respond. That's not changing his opinion on Israel. And not only is it not changing his opinion on Israel, it's not changing his opinion on Israel at all. All right? Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Craig, Winter Garden. Good morning.
Hey, Craig. What's on your mind?
Talk about with President Trump at the UN there with the escalator stopping. Can you imagine if after they start walking back up and the thing started back up again while they were in midstream walking up? So, you know?
Well, when you're on an escalator and it's moving, the sudden stopping, you could easily fall. I consider it to be a violent act because it's so risky.
Well, no. Well, absolutely, but that's what I'm saying. Say it stopped. Okay, so they straighten themselves and they start walking up. Then it starts up again while they're walking. That's one thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, doubly worse. I tell you, I wish President Trump, what he could do. I know he probably can't do it, but I wish he'd call a big meeting of the UN and everything and say, "Look, y'all have 1 week to get out of here. Everybody in the UN, get out. I don't care where you go. You don't come to the United States. You go overseas, wherever you want to go."
Yeah, I'll tell you why that's a bad idea. You know, the United Nations, what it is, no, I'm telling you. I'll tell you why that's a bad idea. And you might agree with me.
Yeah.
You might agree with me. The United Nations is a collection of loser nations. Some of them are less than third world. I don't even know how some of them, and also all the evil countries of the world are represented there. And one of the reasons that we have the UN in New York is a pretty obvious one. Why do you think we have these awful countries, these third-rate countries and everything? Why do you think we have them based in New York at the United Nations? Why do you think the United States does that? They can be anywhere. Why do we have them there? Why do you think?
Well, New York being the hub center of the country, and maybe when they come in, they thought they were going to get money from them, and now
there might be. There's obvious. You're talking about Democrats in New York. The reason we have them here is to keep an eye on them, to make them feel like they're players when they're really not, to keep their eye on them. And if we kick them out, they would just go off somewhere else and conspire. While they're here, we can keep their eye on them. With that being said, though, I'd like to see the president demand that by Monday we have in custody the saboteurs under arrest, or we're going to pull all of our financial support from the United Nations immediately by this act against our president.
What I was going to say is, this is just my fantasy dream. Get them all out of there, and then President Trump buys the building, and he says, okay, we're going to have 2 rooms in here. The biggest, grandest one's going to be for us. The other one's going to be for Israel. That's it, just us and Israel. And he rents out all the other spaces in there, and he makes money on all that rental property and everything. And everybody else goes over. They're going to conspire anyway. Let them go over there. They don't have any power.
That's a fantasy. That's a fantasy you have. 1 room for us and 1 room for Israel. Yeah, that'll go over well. With all this anti-Semitism out there, that might cause a world war. No, that doesn't. So I'm glad you're obviously not a diplomat. You're not a diplomat.
No, I'm tired of it. No, yeah. Are you? Are you a diplomat? Are you?
Not an international diplomat, but when it comes to life, we're all diplomats, right? You gotta choose your battles and things like that.
And you just said life. They almost took. They were trying to take President Trump's life.
Well, that's different. So we need to get these people arrested. All right, take care. Yep. Appreciate the call. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll free. It's pinned in the live chat. If you're watching live on YouTube, 888-465-2631. All right. So Andrew Cuomo, who's running to lose for mayor of New York City. Yeah, they're not hiding their faces from the American people. They're hiding their faces from the illegal South American people, okay? And, law enforcement nationwide, I had an incident a few years back with one of these lovely people in my audience who was causing me some problems, and I had to go to the police. And the police officer that was handling it, he told me something I hadn't considered. He says, I'm out there arresting people every day. I got my name. I'm required to have my name on my uniform. And these are bad guys, and they got my name, and they looked me up online. I mean, it was terrible. I didn't think about that. You know how scary it is? In the military, and those of you that are veterans, you know more about this than I do. And I don't know how far back this started happening in the military, but certainly since the Vietnam War era until now. Soldiers, fighters, Marines on the front lines of battle, they don't wear rank insignia. The officers don't wear rank insignia, and even the non-commissioned officers don't wear rank insignia. Why is that? Why do they not wear rank insignia in combat? It's pretty obvious. It's because the enemy would pick off the officers and then the sergeants and then the corporals, right? That's why. And in the past, prior to this era we're in, every once in a while, you'd see these big cartel busts in Latin America. And I always wondered about all that, why the police were wearing masks. I never really understood it when I was younger. Now we know. These cartels, when they're dealing with these illegals a lot of them are the Trinda and the MS-13ers. These are cartel people, very violent cartel people, and they have to wear masks to protect themselves and their families from that. But now they have to protect them from Democrats in this country, because what the Democrats want to do is identify them so that they can do whatever it is they're doing. Like, look what just and for this idiot Andrew Cuomo to be talking this way after the liberal kid shot up the ICE facility in Dallas is insane to me. Another thing with Andrew Cuomo, we've got this lunatic running for mayor, Zohan, and he's talking just like Zohan. Why not vote for Zohan when you got Cuomo talking this way? He needs to talk like an adult Cuomo and not talk like some idiot child that's never had a job like Zohan. All right, back to the phones we shall go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Jay from Jersey.
Oh, hey, Jay. How you doing?
I'm good. I ain't talked to you in a while.
Oh, really? How long's it
Let
been?
me turn off my TV. I'm not at work today.
Oh, okay.
All right. I was listening to you earlier, what you telling about the situation with the president and his wife. How you know what they were talking about.
No, not me. Professional lip readers that have testified in court cases. That it was what they analyzed what they said as, not me.
Let me explain something to you. When you're talking to somebody and you're talking regular, you don't have to point your finger and act and aggression. It's a reason you point your finger like that when you're mad. That lip reader should have read that. We can all read it. So that's what was read. Now, you decide that you gonna make up what they said. You always do that.
I didn't make it up. These are. Hold on. It wasn't me. These were professional lip readers who have testified in court cases with lip reading. They're lip readers by profession, not me.
Yeah, but you sitting here acting like it's true.
It's reported in major news outlets.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Was it not true every time how many times they got Melania hitting his hand away, won't take his hand? She don't mess with that. She's with the president because she's his wife. She's not with him. She don't stay with him. She don't sleep with him. She don't even like him.
Oh, really? They don't sleep together? How do you know they don't sleep together? You work at the White House?
Tell she don't mess
Wait, you work in the White House? What do you work in the residence?
90 years.
You work in the White House?
Disgusting. Who would sleep with him? Why would she want to still sleep with him?
Oh, so you just made that up.
Old.
So you just made that up.
He's old.
You just made that up.
He's old now.
Yeah.
He's old.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you this one thing before you go. I got a good laugh because it was a good joke when that escalator stopped.
Well, because you're a sick person. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Hey, Richie.
I want to give you my opinion of the United Nations, okay? It first started to try to prevent wars. That was the initial thing, to prevent wars. They have totally turned on, not just Israel, the United States. You know, everyone's worried about that President Trump was on that escalator and he could have got hurt. What's worse is them facilitating all of these immigrants that invaded our country and try to destroy the United States by paying for all this. That was all the UN was behind all of it. Mm-hmm. This world order that we're always talking about, the globalists.
Yeah.
That's the United Nations.
That's right.
And for us to keep on, and when they walked out on Netanyahu, I said they're not just walking out on Israel; they're walking out on us.
Correct.
And I think it's time to just defund that crap as a taxpayer. Listen. We're all taxpayers here. President Trump ought to say to himself, "Hey, look, enough is enough. We're pulling out." He pulled out of the climate accords. Pull out of the UN. It doesn't make it. It's a waste. And it's propaganda against our country. I mean, every time it's all about Russia and China and the rest of these thugs. Mm-hmm. I mean, enough is enough already. I mean, they let the United States be invaded. They paid for it.
Yeah.
Why do we take? We actually paid for our own destruction, and by staying in this organization, it's even worse. It hasn't stopped wars. I see President Trump has stopped wars.
No, I would say the
Nations.
United Nations has kept the world in a constant state of war. They just have controlled
Exactly
wars
right.
for the military-industrial complex. Yeah. United Nations is a joke.
What are we paying? Yeah, what are we paying for this? Enough is enough. We're giving them a platform.
Yeah.
We don't need them to have platform. We don't need two big dictators, people that are destroying their own countries. That are.
No, but
England.
Listen. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but the UN, there's obviously there's all kinds of problems with the UN. I mean, there's a financial thing too. It's a USAID slush fund for these people. But the thing about the UN, it helps us in our security in that it keeps these countries around the world occupied and thinking that they're players in the world. You know, and that does give us some power. And I promise you that we use the UN to infiltrate and get spies in these foreign governments and everything else. I'm sure there's more benefits to the UN than you realize.
The only thing good about the UN is UNICEF, and other than UNICEF,
I don't even know if that's good. I don't even know if that's good. That's probably so corrupt.
No. Yeah, I mean, everything that they touch, and we're paying for it as taxpayers. You know, if people, I'll put it to you this way. I think the United States, my personal opinion, I don't go along with what you're saying that we could watch these countries. We today the world is so small. When something happens in Europe, we see it instantly happening because of communication and transmission of all these live shows everywhere on the internet.
Yeah.
So that to me. I think if people in this country want to support it, it should be a voluntary
well, the United States, the United States should cut all funding to the UN immediately until the culprits are arrested, at least in the sabotage of the president. All U.S. funding should be immediately cut off, and that includes whatever we're doing around the area in person. Should all be stopped immediately.
Okay, but don't you think? Let me ask you a question.
It should be shut down. Until we get these people
don't you think? Yeah, but what about them paying? And President Trump brought it up in his speech that they paid for the invasion of our country, and it's an invasion.
Yeah.
Look what's happening now.
No, I agree.
We can't even get rid of them.
I know. Oh. Well, the president doesn't have the authority to kick out the UN. This is all done through long-standing treaties that have been ratified in the Senate. So he just can't kick them out.
We don't have to pay another nickel. No, but we don't have to pay another nickel.
Not only should we cut them off, we should shut down the power to the building and the office buildings as well until these saboteurs are brought to justice. I agree with all that.
Even the saboteurs are President Trump. That's one thing. To me, the invasion of the country is probably worse.
Yeah.
But they paid for it, Brian. Yeah. They paid for it.
Absolutely.
They fed them. They clothed them. The propaganda.
Absolutely.
Everything. The pamphlets. Why shouldn't we turn it off right now?
All right, Richie. I'm gonna move on. But thanks for the call. I want to talk about Dr. Appleton. Oh man, Dr. Appleton's absolutely amazing with his laser away pain treatment. And, I talk a lot about the different types of pains that it treats. It treats every type of pain I've ever heard of. And you all know that Dr. Appleton has rid me of pain 7 times. But what I don't talk so much about is what the laser actually does. And this is amazing. When I met with Dr. Appleton a week ago, he explained to me a little bit more about the laser. And the laser that he has isn't just some ordinary laser. It's a robotic laser. So what the robotic laser does, and not only is it 100% painless, you don't even feel it when it's happening. When the treatment's going, you don't even feel it. It's amazing. But what the robotic laser of Dr. Appleton's does is it moves around the entire body part. Dr. Appleton is able to, when he examines you, determine the exact spot where the pain is coming from. Like I remember I had a pain in a part of my body, and he found it was actually coming from another part of the body. It was, and the nerves were making me hurt in another place. And what the robotic laser does is rotate around the entire area of the body, treating the whole area all around it. And I'll use my knee for an example, which is the first time that I was rid of pain by Dr. Appleton. I had suffered from a pain in my right knee from a car accident over 30 years ago. And what the laser did, it didn't just treat one part of the knee, it moved around the entire area. So the top of my knee was being treated, then the side, underneath, the other side, and all the way around. And yeah, isn't that amazing? And what the laser does, it actually repairs the damage that is causing you pain. So give Dr. Appleton a call. And those of you that have traveled from out of the country, there are people that have traveled from all over the United States to see Dr. Appleton that listen to this program online or watch me on YouTube. Thanks so much for that. And you're living pain-free too. Give Dr. Appleton a call. Remember, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. All right, and that's promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. All right, we're back. I don't share too much with Kamala Harris, but this is Kamala yesterday speaking, and man, were we saved by Trump in so many ways. Could you imagine President Kamala Harris? This is her yesterday, completely tanked. They say her drink of choice is wine. She probably buys it in those gallon boxes. Okay, so it's only 2025, but anyway, she says it was the closest election in the 21st century. President Trump won every battleground state, and he flipped 10 counties in California from Democrat to Republican. So what is she talking about? A Howard grad, a racially segregated college in 2025. Yeah, that's right, Howard University. Yeah, okay. And a Howard grad did that. Oh, my goodness. Big deal. Why do we still have racially segregated schools in this country? Anyone know? If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, if you're watching live on YouTube, the number is pinned in the live chat, and the number is toll-free no matter where you're tuned in, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Okay, so we got the indictments of Comey, and this is absolutely the best. He is what I would consider to be the big fish, the big kahuna. He's the main guy. He's been running the operation from day one. I detailed this a lot yesterday. And, Pam Bondi, I've been very disappointed, as many other MAGA people have been, with Pam Bondi. President Trump brought this young 36-year-old attorney from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, made her the acting United States attorney, and in just a couple of days, she goes to a grand jury and not only got the indictments on Comey, but she argued the case herself to the grand jury and got the indictments. Pam Bondi hasn't gotten anything for these people. And I don't know if she ever intends to. I'm not sure. I don't know. Pam Bondi's got to prove herself to us, right? President Trump put out that tweet that he posted on True Social last week, and he seemed pretty upset with Pam Bondi. But Pam Bondi, I got to wonder, she came up through the Florida Republican Party of the 90s, which is a Jeb Bush-controlled party. And I'm wondering if Pam Bondi is there to not bring indictments. I don't know. And no one could convince me that she doesn't hate this Lindsay prosecutor as much as women don't get along well in the workplace anyway, right? So she's younger, right? And she's hot, and she did what we've been wanting to do, and she brought in an indictment against the biggest fish in the whole thing, Comey himself. She's got to be freaking out. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Chester. I'm calling from Idaho. How are you?
I'm all right, Chester. What's on your mind?
That's wonderful. So you'd said earlier that people ought not to criticize the Trump administration for its fascist policies and actions in light of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now,
I didn't say that. I didn't say anything like that.
Regardless,
I did not say that.
Horrible event
no, excuse me. I did not say that.
It shouldn't deter us from making these valid criticisms.
I did not say what. I did not say that.
Yeah, you said that people shouldn't criticize Trump for being fascist because it resulted in the Charlie Kirk shooting.
No, I didn't say that. This is what I said. This is what I said.
Well, would you like to clarify? Yeah, okay, sure.
I don't have to clarify. You're just lying. You're knowingly lying about what I said. This is what I said. Well, then correct
me. I'm sorry if I misunderstood
we had a political assassination of Charlie Kirk. There have been multiple assassinations on President Trump. He even was shot. Another leftist shot up the ICE facility in Dallas. There are obviously, from the lip-reading experts that I shared at the top of the podcast, there's obviously been some other attempts or something going on that we're not aware of where the president and first lady are both concerned for each other's safety.
You don't think she was referencing the two assassination attempts that have already occurred?
And you guys on the left are still riling people up with this fascist talk. You need to tone things down. You're inciting violence.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. You're saying that people ought not to criticize the Trump administration for being fascist.
No. I didn't say not be critical. You got to stop with this dehumanizing Nazi fascist Hitler stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, criticizing them.
That's not criticism.
That is criticism for being fascist.
That's doing is dehumanizing them. And inciting violence. Anyway, so what's on your mind? Hold on a second. Let me answer these other lines that are coming in. All right, so tell me what's on your mind.
Hello?
Yep. Did I lose you? Hold on. All right, I'm sorry. Okay, tell me why you called, other than to misquote me. All right, are you back with us? Did I lose you?
Yeah, it keeps. I'm sorry.
Okay, I got you now. So tell me, other than to totally lie about what I said, why'd you call?
I just wanted to talk about these recent comments by Pete Hegseth. So I think that it is valid for people to call the Trump administration fascist. I don't know if you heard about this recent news story, but Pete Hegseth refused to revoke the medals of honor of U.S. soldiers who committed the massacre at Wounded Knee in 1890. While the events of that day are sometimes described as a battle, historical records show that the U.S. Army, which was in the midst of a campaign to repress the Indian tribes of the area, killed an estimated 250 Native Americans, including women and children of the Lakota Sioux tribe, while attempting to disarm the Native American fighters who had already surrendered at the camp. I don't know. I have no clue why you wouldn't want to revoke.
Are you out of your mind?
I'm just giving you reasons why people are saying this.
What you're saying, fascist, excuse me. Fascists don't have elections. Once they're in power, that's it. Okay, and they don't leave office when their terms are up. President Trump left after his first term. He ran for re-election and won again. No, excuse me. No, Hitler was not elected like President Trump.
He was appointed by the person who was elected.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you very much. I can't believe you slipped. Oh, yes. That's right. He was appointed
and also be
he was appointed. See, you hear what he just said? Hitler was not elected. He was appointed by the president of Germany, Hindenburg.
Regardless, he was.
But you didn't say that.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, there's no similarities at all. Trump was actually elected by the people as opposed to Chancellor Hitler.
Yeah, and he also is a fascist. He can be a fascist and just be elected.
Okay.
You don't have to be in a fascist system
You can say fascist over and over again. It doesn't make it true.
I think that refusing to revoke the medals of honor of people who committed a racially motivated massacre in 1890 is fascist. I have no clue why he would do that if he wasn't trying to.
I'm going to speak with or without you on the line. I don't mind you calling and giving me, grief and having discussions, but you got to take turns, okay?
Okay.
The problem that you liberals have, liberals have a lot of problems, but one of the problems you have is you like to go back in time and judge people of the past based on these woke standards of today. And that's absurd. As an example, at the beginning of the program, I had mentioned that Woodrow Wilson was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. President Truman was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who we don't have any information that shows he was a Klansman, he refused to sign into law federal anti-lynching legislation that Republicans were introducing in the Senate. And those are terrible things and terrible people, but they're different times. You don't go back in time and judge people in the past based on the standards of today. That's stupid. Now, so far as the Indian Wars, I'm sorry, that's the way it was. We were settled, our ancestors were settling a new land, and there were some conflicts. What do you want to do? Oh, he hung up. Okay, he hung up. I did not hang up on him. He hung up. He disconnected the call. You know what I think happened when he said Hitler was elected, and then he says, well, he was appointed by the man who was elected? Yeah, and then he seized power. He realized he looked stupid, and he was embarrassed. Here's just a little word of advice, okay? When you say or do something publicly and you're embarrassed, just move on. Don't reference it anymore. Forget about it, and the audience will move on too. He disconnected his own call. I did not hang up on him. I want you guys to know that. I'd be talking to him right now, responding to what I just said if he had not hung up on him. So, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Tone. I'm calling from Michigan.
Hey, Michigan. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is the left-leaning fascist policies. Like how the left pretend like they're not fascists. Like one instance is their censorship on like social media policies, and then they blow it off like they didn't do that.
Well, I wouldn't say that the liberals are fascist right now. I mean, maybe they want to be. Maybe they're aspiring fascist. But they're not. No, people throw these words around, and they don't. They're not appropriate. I mean, they're low-life, immoral people, and they're inciting violence. There's no doubt about that. But I wouldn't call them fascist. Want to be fascist, maybe, but not fascist. They're not in power either. So
Yeah, but maybe communist. Because
I'll give you that. Yes, they are communist. Correct. Yes, I'll give you that.
Like strict gun laws doesn't help anybody. In fact, it hurts their own people. Like, do you know how hard it is for a black man to get a gun and carry it around?
It's not hard.
And they make
a black man, if he is 21 years old and does not have a felony conviction, he can go into any gun store in America like I can and buy a gun. It's not hard.
That is very true. But then when they make stricter gun laws, it makes it a lot harder for people to own guns. And then they get arrested and go to prison. And a lot of these states that have strict gun laws, and a lot of black arrests are done by that. And the left keeps voting for these policies to make stricter gun laws.
Okay. All right. Hey, appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
The greatest danger to liberty is the majority, for it can oppress the minority just as a tyrant might.
Okay, so what majority is oppressing the minority? Could you share that with me?
Absolutely. Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes.
Tell me who's being oppressed. Stop reading your Wikipedia entry. What majority is oppressing the minority?
An elected government.
Okay, all right. There he's back to the Wikipedia. I'm sorry. I'm not talking to robots that are reading Wikipedia. Yeah, exactly. What are you going to do? All right, I'm going to take our last break and be right back. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. And the Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. Just search for The Brian Craig Show, and I'll pop right up. If you want to catch the show live when I'm taking live calls, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. And that's where I live stream the podcast, and you can call me live on the program and call me out or agree with me. Either is fine. All right, let's take some more calls. I got a few things I got to cover here before the end, but I will take some calls right now. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hang up on you there.
I'm not going back 20 minutes in time. You call me another day. All right.
All right, sure.
All right, take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
You know, the UN. I was going to say that to me that it's for a long time. To me, it's been it's a foreign base within our country, really, and I think that I agree with a lot of the people. I have sympathy towards them wanting to get rid of it because it's corrupt as hell. But at the same time, you did mention this, and I've thought this for a long time, that it's sort of an intelligence gold mine, if you will. I think we catch a lot of these people, in compromising situations, and we turn them into assets. So, as far as how much...
It's probably also a way that we have spies in foreign countries bring information to the United States and make contact on home soil is through the UN. It's probably where... I'm just guessing, but it makes sense, right?
That's the only thing, because other than that, it makes absolutely zero sense to have it. I mean, I think there was a time where there was good intention, really, and the UN and how we use it is really only as good as the government that we have in office. So I think, like, when you have somebody like Biden in there, it's corrupt as hell. And even when when you go back in the past, to me, both Democrats and Republicans, they were all in this corrupt criminal enterprise to me. They've just been pulling the wool over our eyes, sort of like a theater production for such a long time. But Trump came in, and he's not part of the act. He's not with these guys.
And he's too rich to be bought. He's too rich to be bought. And, I remember when we've all known who Trump is our whole life. And when he was first talking about running for president back like in 2011, when he was going around with Sheriff Joe looking for the birth certificate, I thought, how could he's got to have like some island in the Bahamas somewhere with a harem of beautiful models, right? And this Playboy image that he had all those years was just an act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was part of his marketing.
He's a decent guy. To me, Trump, I don't know, a lot of people call him genius. He's a genius. And to me, I've known a lot of geniuses, and they're not all that intelligent, really, if you understand what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I've met a lot of them. In the hospital, a lot of scientists and just
you know what? Let me rephrase that and see if you agree. Okay, I have known not only incredibly successful people, but there's one person I'm not going to reference. I've referenced them before, but I don't want to do it again because I don't want to get them connected to the MAGA movement. But there's someone I know that's a literal genius, one of the smartest Americans that's lived.
High IQ,
They're famous, a very famous person I've known since I was a kid, and they have no common sense. But they have enough degrees to cover an entire wall, and they're famous and they're very smart, but they have no common sense. It's rare to find what Trump has, right? You've got a guy who's wealthy beyond imagination, has not just book smarts, has common sense, and is a moral man who's not some playboy drunkard. It's a very rare. Look at Bobby Kennedy and all of his problems with his sex life and everything over the years.
The thing with Trump, and I believe this, and I think people can relate to it, is that he really, with his brother, what he saw with his brother in the alcohol.
Yep.
And all the things, this isn't, a genius science right here that I'm saying, is that we all become who we are through all the things that happen around us. And I think Trump, with his brother, that was just a big part of his life, and it put him in a direction. Now, I do believe it was a lot of marketing with Trump. I just think he's a common sense guy, and to me, you can have 5 degrees or 10 degrees. I have somebody in my family his IQ is off the charts. He's a nuclear engineer. He was on one of the original the first nuclear sub, the first boomers.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy. He was on there. Went through the Naval Academy.
Was that the first American nuclear? That was the USS Ohio.
He was on the first boomer. I used to ask him questions about it, and he would tell me stories about being on the sub, and he'd fly to Spain.
You know who worked on that sub? You may know. Jimmy Carter.
What now?
Jimmy Carter worked on
Jimmy
that.
Carter.
Jimmy Carter worked on that sub. Because he was a nuclear... Jimmy Carter is a great example. He was a nuclear scientist. A lot of people don't know that. And he was one of the developers of the first nuclear submarine. I know that because it was the USS Ohio, and I'm from Ohio. They used to talk to us a lot about it in elementary school in Columbus, But he was in the... He was a nuclear... That's why when 3 Mile Island happened, Jimmy Carter... was right there with the nuclear scientist because he's nuclear engineer.
When you have a nuclear accident, you don't need plumbers, you need nuclear physicists, you need the guys who know what the hell's going on.
And Carter had no common sense.
Yeah, exactly. And my point about my cousin, who's like genius level, he's so crazy intelligent, can talk to you about anything. But all he does, he's not interested in fame or anything, doesn't write any books. All he does is he hunts and he fishes with his 2 dogs. He took care of his mother. He took care of his mom until she passed, my Aunt Kathleen. But see, now he's an example of somebody, he's a normal. He's really intelligent and normal. He's kind of like a Trump.
Very rare.
Trump has so much, the common sense is the most important thing to have. Trump makes mistakes and he learns from them. I think he made a lot of mistakes in his life. But he's learned. The thing is, you never make the same mistake twice.
The thing about
Trump,
he learns
from everything.
Trump not only doesn't drink, he's never even sipped alcohol, which is amazing. And the thing you're talking about, one of the things that President Trump has, he's the he's the everyday billionaire. He can relate to he could go to Walmart and hang out with the guys in the stock room, right? And relate to them. And that's a characteristic that Charlie Kirk had, and that's why these other people that are trying to take over the tour, like Megyn, they're never going to have what Charlie had, because Charlie Kirk had that charisma, that everyday guy that Trump has.
The charisma, he had the charisma and the kindness. Like with Trump, a lot of times like I saw him the other day, and every time when he's having a news conference, a lot of people around him, he goes, I said to my sister the other day, does he go out of his way to thank everybody? It sure looks like it, right? And she looks at me and says, well, yeah, he's always thanking everybody. I just said, sis, he's not going out of his way. That is his way. He is just a common sense, listen, you thank the people around you. You don't, this is how he is built. This is how he's built.
Well, one of my guy in my neighborhood's a cop, and he has worked with all the candidates and presidents. He worked at the airport where they all flew in, and he told me every time President Trump came in, even when he was president, he would go up to every officer and shake their hand and talk to them, and he says it's like he's your buddy. And he would tell me all the time, he's like, oh, Bernie Sanders came in today. He just walked right by me. And that's how they all are. They have
no class. They have no, I call it PTY. Okay, it's an acronym, PTY. I actually...
What's PTY?
It's an acronym. It's please, thank you, and you're welcome.
Oh, please, thank you, and you're welcome.
It'll take you...
Well, who was it that said please and thank you were the magic words? Is that Elmo? I don't know. They used to say, somebody used to say please.
It is one of the most important things is just the the interaction of everyday life. Holding a door open for somebody. If you just walk right through without saying thank you, the whole thing, it's about the pleasantry. It'll get you a long way in life. And I grew up my parents had a motel when I was 5 years old. Before I was on crutches, my parents would give me the keys. I was like the little show. We only had like 5 units.
Yeah.
The people knew where the units were, but my mom would hand me the keys and say, take them to unit number 1.
Yeah.
And I'd walk out the door with them and talk. I was 5 years old, so a lot of these kids nowadays, they don't talk to anybody. They stare at their
no.
screen
In fact, President Trump was and I can't remember if it was in his first term or in the campaign, but he was speaking to a group of builders, and I can't remember if he was president yet or running. But I watched it, and somebody had asked him, how does he connect so well to people like what we're talking about? And he said he used to hang out with the construction crews on his dad's job sites when he was a kid. And that's how he got to, so he's like, all right, hey, I appreciate the call. We'll talk again. All right, take care. Hold on. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
All right.
Sorry about the long hold. My name is Tori. I'm from Seattle. Don't worry, I'm a Trump supporter, so you're safe.
Okay, safe.
But I was on hold for a little bit, so I was going to go back and tell you a little bit when you were speaking on the fascist thing.
Okay.
And real quick, so this is something I'm hoping that people like yourself and others who have a bit of an outreach, because I don't. I'm just a random Joe, And YouTube, you know how it is. It deletes stuff, comment-wise, section-wise, hide your remarks.
Say what you want to say.
Any...
Say what you want to say.
Oh, okay. Could you relay to these leftists that call into you and remind them when they say fascist that Hitler was not a capitalist, okay? MAGA are capitalists. Hitler was a National Socialist. That's what Nazi means. And they went from the German Workers' Party in Germany to the Democratic Party in America. And so they're socialists. They're not capitalists.
There's a very good book. It's called, that'll tell you everything you need to know about the Nazis. It's called The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. It's about 12 inches thick. It's a big book.
Who's the author?
Shire, I believe. The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, Shire. And yeah, the Hitler and the Nazis they were socialist. It was the National Socialist Workers' Party. And the reason all the history books say Nazis instead of that, because they don't want to use socialism in a negative way, so they just say Nazi.
Well, that's too bad.
But
that's too bad. I'm tired of the projection, aren't you? It's annoying, isn't it? Start spreading this around, because when I say it gets deleted.
No, well, we just said it. All right, take care. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Jack.
Yeah, speak up, Jack. Speak up, Jack.
Can you hear me good now?
I can hear you, yes.
All right. So you just said that Trump's relatable.
Correct.
Because why?
He has,
Didn't he grow up a millionaire?
Everyone who is, when he was 2, he was earning $250,000 a year through the Trump Organization.
Right. He grew up a millionaire, and he also grew up in segregation. So
he didn't grow up in segregation. No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't. What do you mean he grew up in segregation?
Yes, he did.
What does that mean? I don't know what you mean by that.
What do you mean you don't know what I mean by that? What year was he born, and what year was segregated ended?
What year did segregated ended? That's
what year
not a lot.
Did segregation? What year did segregation end? And what year was
segregation? The last school district to desegregated schools was Boston. The Democrats in Boston, and that wasn't until like the around 1980-ish.
Right, yet again.
So this is it. Okay, so what?
The last school was in the 80s. Majority of segregation was supposed to end around.
So what? I was born in 1971. So am I? I lived during that era.
Yeah, right. He was born in the 50s or the 40s, and he was raised in elementary school and high school and college in segregation, sir.
No,
you really need to do your research. And then number one.
No, not number one. He grew up in segregation. A lot of people lived during that era. I was born in 1971, so I lived in the period of time that was the end of that. He hung up too. I don't even know what that means. He grew up in an era of segregation. Is he trying to tell us that the Democrats in New York didn't let black people go to school with white people? Okay, so he lived in a Democrat racist area when he was young. I don't know why you're blaming him for that. If you'd like to support my channel, a great way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. If you become a Patreon supporter, you not only get access to a lot of exclusive things that both my wife and I share with our Patreon supporters, but you get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description of this and every episode on whatever platform you're listening on. And also, my top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you on each and every podcast episode, and they get their names up on the screen on YouTube. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, and Teresa. These are my top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. Again, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of the episode. And the direct website address is patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How you doing? This is Fred from Mississippi.
Oh, hold on, Fred, while I answer these phones. Getting a lot of deep-voiced guys calling me. Fred in Mississippi, what say you?
Yeah, just, I used to be a Trump supporter, and I flipped.
Oh, really? What flipped you?
Let's be real. Okay, let's break it down. So you made a war on immigrants, right? You did that.
Okay, slow down. See, I'm really confused by your fake bio. So this is an interesting thing. You gotta love these. You gotta love these liberals. You were a Trump supporter and you left, and you said it's because he's declared war on the illegal immigrants. Well, when he ran for president the first time. Excuse me, I'm not done with my question. No. I'll say what I want on my own program. You say you were a Trump supporter and you flipped. His primary campaign promise in his first campaign was build a wall, shut down the border, and deport all the illegals. So when did you decide against the deportation of the illegals and change your mind?
So you think that's my only reason?
No, that's the reason you gave me. You said you were a Trump supporter and you switched because of his... But he ran... Just tell the truth. Just tell the truth that you're a liberal. You've always been a liberal and you hate Trump.
Your red herring isn't working. Your red herring isn't working. Now let me finish.
No, that's what you said.
You asked me why. I'm giving you multiple reasons.
Well, yeah, all right. Give me the second one. Give me the second one.
I'm going to list all of the reasons.
Well, we're going to do it on my. Excuse me. We're going to do it my way or no way. Okay. On your show, you can list everything you want. You gave me one. I debunked that. Give me the second reason.
Each one.
Give me the second reason.
How about I list every reason, and then we can talk about each one?
No.
But we do that.
No. I'm not giving some list.
No. We're only going to focus on one topic at a time because that's what we can do.
On your show, you can format it how you want. That's how I'm doing it on my show.
On my show, I can format it how I want. So
that's correct, and this is my show. Okay, there we go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, bud?
Hold on one second here. Let me answer these calls. Yeah, go ahead. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Paso, Texas. My name is Alfredo Rodriguez. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a big mega fan. I love this country. I mean, it's just one thing is why is he going against? I mean, aren't we all? I mean, he's going against people. We're all immigrants in this country.
No, I'm not an immigrant. No, we're not.
I mean, I was born here. I'm not an immigrant, but
okay. I'm not an immigrant. We're not all immigrants. No, we're not.
My blood, they didn't come from this country, but because way back in the days, I mean, this was native country. You know what I mean? So we're all immigrants.
No, we're not immigrants. No, we're not. We're not all immigrants. I'm not an immigrant. I'm a Native American. I am a Native American.
Are you?
I was born in the United States of America. That makes me a native of this country. I am a Native American. Yes, correct. And I don't have a foreign accent like you, who claims to be American born here.
Really? Okay.
You do not have an American accent. You have a South American accent. Oh, he hung up. Oh, boy. I guess his accent gave him away. All right, let's go. You're on the... Why did he hang up? Oh, we just were starting. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. All right, there you go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike calling from Arkansas.
Hey, what's up?
That goofball you had called you all ago from...
Which one?
Talking about the segregation.
Yes.
I started first grade 1953 in Oklahoma. They integrated all their schools 1953.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a segregated school.
Yeah.
I've seen some all black schools, but that's because they had all blacks in their district. But they didn't have no segregated schools.
Okay.
And one time I was raised in Seminole County, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised with the Seminole Indians, and I've heard you talking about them. And you talking about how rich they are. Well, they ain't always been that way.
Well, they're rich now. The Seminole Indians are very rich now. Come to Florida.
They may be in Florida. They may be in Florida, but they're not in Oklahoma.
Well, if they're members of the Seminole Nation, then they're not true members of the Seminole Nation.
They're members of the Seminole Nation. They've got their own chiefs and everything.
Oh, they got a different chief. No. They're not a member of the Seminole tribe of Florida.
No, not Florida.
Well, that's their loss. Well, that sucks for them. But if you're a member of the Seminole Nation of Florida, those are some rich Indians, and they get rich by getting even with the white man by selling tax-free tobacco products, cigarettes, giving us cancer, and of course the vice of gambling. Yes.
Well, see, that's the problem Seminoles and Oklahoma's got. The population of Florida is 40 million and Oklahoma's 4 million.
Yeah, well, I feel bad for the Seminoles of Oklahoma, but sorry. The Seminole Nation of Florida are the ones who are rich. They are very rich. And if they live on the reservation, they don't have to pay taxes. But they make so much money that just comes to them every month. They don't mind paying taxes, a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, take care. Appreciate the call. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian?
Yes?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Brian. It's Marcus from Connecticut.
Hey, Marcus. What's up?
Oh, I was calling because to respond to the person that was saying President Trump was raised in segregation.
Yes.
I mean, President Trump was born and raised in Queens, New York. Queens, New York is the melting pot of the world. Okay, I was born and raised in Queens, New York myself. My parents are about the same age as President Trump. There was no segregation at that time.
Yeah.
When Trump was born and raised.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't understand where these people get their facts from, their information.
Rachel Maddow, CNN, and Wikipedia. That's about it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to call about that because I said to myself, "What in the world is that all about?" And like I said, Trump was not segregated. His family has no record of slavery or anything like that.
No. In fact, President Trump is a first-generation American, his mother being an immigrant from Scotland.
Right, yeah, and his father, Germany, I believe.
Well, no, his father's not on his father's side, his family came here in the 1800s, but still, he's a first-generation American. His mother's an immigrant from Scotland.
Yeah. So, but like I said, Brian, thank you for your show. I'm a longtime member. I watch your show often.
Well, thank you.
But I just wanted to call you to just to
there's the liberals are having meltdowns this morning. I appreciate your comments. Take care. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Trump Rodriguez.
Okay, all right, interesting. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. I do like that show you got on in the background, though. That's the best show in America. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. The Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. Just go to your favorite podcast platform and search The Brian Craig Show. I'll come right up, okay? And if you want to catch the show live when I'm taking the live calls, Just go to YouTube, and on YouTube search The Brian Craig Show and subscribe there. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Right there. Yes, Brian, it's time for you to watch.
Okay, that's good. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Ontario, Canada.
Hey, Ontario. What's up?
I was wondering, if, God forbid, AOC became president,
Oh, God.
would you be comfortable with her having the same powers that President Trump has?
Every president has the same power President Trump has, so yeah, I wouldn't like it, but yeah. President Trump has the same powers that every president has had.
So you'd be comfortable with the current way that the separation of powers works?
Well, I don't know what you mean. Give me an example of a specific power that President Trump has that every other president has not had.
Well, I'm not suggesting you have. I'm just wondering. It just didn't seem like you were. I thought you were kind of happy about Trump being overreaching. I thought you were happy.
He's not overreaching. What President Trump is doing, see, you don't understand this being from Canada and all that.
Yeah, educate me. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to. President Trump, we've had 47 presidents, right? He is the only president of the United States, and I'm including Lincoln and Washington in this. He's the only president of the United States that has not been owned by the big money donors of the day. He is the first president that has not been controlled and is actually governing the country based on the way that those who elected him wanted him to do, okay? Every other president we've had has been corrupt and owned by the donors. Lincoln was owned by the railroads. Washington was owned by the planters, okay? The slave-owning planters of the southern plantation slave owners. And the powers that President Trump is using are the powers that all the presidents use, and he's certainly not abusing them. In fact, the powers he's using are the same powers our past presidents have used. You guys just don't like that he's the one using these powers that many presidents have used forever. Well, at least since we've had presidents.
I haven't made a judgment statement.
Huh? What?
I haven't made a judgment statement during this call. I was just asking questions.
So what? Well, I've responded. I'm not here to do an interview, but if you want to respond to what I said based on your Canadian viewpoint, you're welcome to.
Yeah, it was just a question. I just kind of wanted to get a sense because from where we're standing in Canada, obviously, we don't like the rhetoric of 51st state and things like that. It's such a departure from the norms.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are.
Who cares? Canada, Canada. Listen, I understand you not liking President Trump. We in the United States are so lucky to live in the greatest country in all of the world. We're the most powerful country militarily. We have the largest economy in the world. And if I was from some third-rate country like Canada that was just seemed like a modern country because it's sucking off of this great country, the United States, I can understand you not liking the way things are going.
No, actually, I don't mind how things are going. I actually like how things are going because it's been really good for us. And I think it's going to be good for us going forward. I'm actually more worried about the United States myself. I'm happy.
Why are you worried about the United States? I mean, Canada didn't even fight for their own independence, right? If Canadians had half a brain, they would have joined the rest of the American colonies in the American Revolution, and you guys would be winners now instead of losers.
Well, from what I can tell, the American economy is doing really badly. And
from what you can tell, the American economy is booming. There's an economic boom going on.
Really? Oh, wow. I haven't seen that.
Well, you're in Canada. I'm here in America. I'm seeing it. All right, take care. Appreciate the call from the Great White North. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You're on the air. What's your name?
Yeah, hold on 1 second here. Hold on. Let me get through some of these calls. The phones are ringing off the hook. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, sorry about that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name's Dave. I'm calling from good old Columbia, South Carolina.
All right, Dave in Columbia. What's on your mind?
Oh, no, I just wanted to call and say I really appreciate what you're doing. Most of the call-in shows are people hating Trump and not letting people speak, but you're doing a pretty good job there, man.
I welcome all voices, right? I'm like Charlie Kirk. You can agree or disagree and call in, but yeah, I love Trump, absolutely.
Yeah, same here. I much prefer him over Biden, especially the fact that it was found out that Biden was getting YouTube to censor channels that the Biden administration didn't like.
You know, people
that
say
really
that, but I've been
way.
here for years. I haven't been censored. I'm just happy we don't have a corrupt public official with the cocaine in his office like Biden. You know what I mean? Who took bribes like Biden.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm more excited about.
Shoot, wasn't cocaine found in the White House during the Biden administration?
Yeah,
something like that.
Outside the Situation Room. Bag of cocaine.
Yeah, sorry, I literally just woke up. Saw your show.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you found me.
I really like what Trump's doing, especially rolling back some of the stuff that Biden did. And I really love the fact that he's designating Antifa as a terror group. That is a very smart move.
Yeah, it is. They had their first Antifa arrest a couple nights ago. I can't remember where it was. But
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that because while they didn't
Biden
do as
said
much
that Antifa didn't even exist. Biden said Antifa didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was
Biden
just an idea.
That Antifa didn't exist.
He said it's just an idea.
Yeah, an idea where they have matching shirts and matching hats and matching bandanas and meeting times
and fires.
No, it's not an idea.
All right, appreciate it. Listen, welcome to the show. Thanks for calling. All right. Well, listen, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you're on hold, well, stand by. I'll be back another time. Make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell. The Brian Craig Show podcast is where MAGA comes to talk and is available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for The Brian Craig Show. And if you want to catch me live when I'm taking the calls, follow me on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search The Brian Craig Show and subscribe and click the notification bell. And when I go live and I'm taking live calls, you'll be right there to call in. All right, take care. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.